Next speaker wanted to be a firefighter, but turbans are flammable. He wanted to be a commentator on French football, but couldn't speak French. And one day, his mum told him that he would once eventually become the UK's #1 LinkedIn trainer. And, well, maybe that's dubious. I don't know. But he's a fantastic LinkedIn speaker, and you're going to laugh a lot at this one. It's one of our co-organizers for UPLIFT Live, the incomparable Gus Bhandal.
That was brilliant. Thank you so much.
Go on, Gus.
One day, you're going to be dead. Sorry to break it to you. Sorry, I didn't mean to break it to you like that. And obviously, once we go, what happens with our LinkedIn profiles? Hopefully, you've entrusted somebody to memorialize your account, right? I couldn't find anyone I trust, so I asked my wife. So she's on the live stream. Hello, sorry, don't change the locks. However, when the person that you entrust to memorialize your account looks through your content, will they think, this isn't worth keeping? Now, obviously, when you trust somebody to look after your account, please make sure they don't announce it as a new job. That's what we don't need. Happy to announce, I'm dead. So let's not do that. Even worse, some people celebrated it. That's weird. Even worse than that, some people congratulated him. Seems like you're happy with your new position. Congratulations. I mean, to be fair, if anybody's going to know if a dead guy's happy, it's going to be this guy, right? The Exorcist. But the point is, when you're creating content on LinkedIn, is it worth keeping? Or is it putting people to sleep? Are your audience thinking, we don't care about this guy. We don't want to listen to this person. We couldn't care less about this person's content. Are they falling asleep? Are they moving on? Because as we know, if people don't engage with you, if we don't get people to talk to us or like us or comment on our content or DM us or share us and all that kind of stuff, our content eventually dies a death. So today I'm going to be covering 3 things, and this will all make sense later. Track lists, force fields, and superfans. They're the 3 things that we're going to be talking about today. So other than being no longer with us, what do these people have in common? George Michael, Freddie Mercury, Aretha Franklin, Prince, David Bowie. Other than no longer being with us, they created a legacy. Their content, while they were alive, is going to last forever. They spent their whole life creating brilliant content. Now, don't get me wrong, I appreciate it's a very long stretch to go from being on our deathbed to worrying about what we're posting on LinkedIn, right? I get that, it's a long stretch. However, we have to think in extremes, because otherwise we just create content for the sake of creating content. Are we creating boring content that just exists for the sake of existing? Do we wake up in the morning and think, we need to publish something today? So are we just posting for the sake of it? Is our content the same as last year and the year before? Are our audience bored? Are they falling asleep? So are you creating a legacy? So ultimately, obviously the other thing that all those 5 people had in common was that they're superstars. And obviously one of the things that I want to do is show you how you can be a superstar using content on LinkedIn. And hopefully I can talk to you about what I create on LinkedIn to help me to, I don't want to use the word superstar about myself, but to be good, to help my business, to make money. That's what I want to do. So I'm going to be talking about music, I'm going to be talking about albums, and I've created my LinkedIn album. It's my David Bowie era, so Legacy by Gus Bhandal. So 3 stars, sheesh, tough crowd. So
3 times platinum.
3 times platinum, yeah, I'll take that. 3 times platinum, that's what we'll take. We'll edit the other bit out. So are you creating a legacy on using LinkedIn? So for those of you who are essentially my age, you will remember when we used to buy vinyls. Remember vinyls? Yeah. Remember cassettes? Yeah. Remember CDs? Remember when CDs came out? We were like, this is amazing. Like, this is so cool. Like, we don't have to put pencil in it and, all that kind of stuff. For the young crowd, that looks like a really weird joke. Just Google it, don't worry. It's fine. But when we bought vinyls or cassettes or CDs, we had loads of songs on them, didn't we? So nowadays we have Spotify and Amazon Music and Apple Music and all the rest of it, and we listen to one song, and we listen to that one song over and over again. Here's a great song, we listen to that song. The Kendrick Lamar song from the Super Bowl, yeah? We all listen to that over and over. You see it on TikTok and Instagram and all the rest of it, etc. Anybody know any other songs from Kendrick Lamar? No, of course you don't. Don't answer that. Rhetorical question. So, who said yes? Shut up. Anyway, so when we bought albums, we had a track list. We had the floor fillers, the chart toppers, the crowd pleasers. There would always be a ballad in there, right? There was the air guitar, but the one that we could play air guitar to. There was the instrumentals and all that kind of stuff. There was the romantic songs, short track. This is a joke for the wife. But it was always a different track list. We had so many songs that we could listen to. And we would put them on in our car or at home or on our Walkman. Remember those? And we used to listen to all the tracks. We don't just listen to one track. We have a whole range. We have a whole plethora of content. Now, I'm not going to talk about content pillars, don't worry, because that sounds ridiculously boring. However, what I do want to talk about is the one post, one idea, something following on from what John was talking about this morning. Every time you create content on LinkedIn, make sure it only has one idea. Whatever you're posting about. I know lots of people love saying, oh, you know what, I'm doing this and I'm doing that and I'm doing this. I went to see this client and I got a testimonial and I'm going, and all that kind of stuff. Unless you're journaling your week, unless you're Adrian Mole, target reference, you don't need to journal your week. You don't need to have just posts that go on and on about everything. So one post, one idea. Every time, because each one of your track lists, every track that you play has it's different for different people. The guy that sang Careless Whisper sang Club Tropicana. The guy that sang Angel sang Let Me Entertain You. The guys that sang We Will Rock You sang Who Wants to Live Forever. We have a different piece of content for every different kind of mood, and that will resonate with your audience. So obviously we have content like this. So when we create your LinkedIn legacy track list. You could talk about business content. You could talk about testimonials. You can make jokes. I occasionally tell jokes there or thereabouts. Talking about networking, conferences that we've been to. Hint, hint. Yeah. Hashtag UPLIFT Life. You could journal your week. You could talk about that. What you're doing today. Accountability, your team, people around you, sales, trends, etc., right? What most people do when they create content, and I see this from a lot of LinkedIn specialists, when people kind of create content, well, I don't know why I did that. When they create content, what they do is they only play track 8. They spend all their time on LinkedIn saying, we're LinkedIn trainers. You should buy our LinkedIn services. We help people with LinkedIn. Here's something on LinkedIn. And eventually your audience switch off, particularly because you're telling people on LinkedIn. You're telling people on LinkedIn you should buy LinkedIn services. And people on LinkedIn are like, we're already here, kind of thing. And obviously, you ask any LinkedIn trainer, you say, do you use multiple channels to make money? And they will all say yes. And that's what we're going to talk about. So ultimately, your content will evolve. We want our content to evolve. It has to evolve with our audience. It has to evolve with who we follow, who we connect to, because your audience grows. Your audience changes. Your work changes. Everything. I started my business in 2017. Where I was in 2017 is very different to where I am today. It's very different. So, for example, talking about evolving, in the 70s, I was with Queen. I was playing, rock operas. Do you know what I mean? But in the 80s, I was doing electro-pop with Spandau Ballet. And in the 90s, I was in the Backstreet Boys. So, in case you didn't know, these are photoshopped, just to be clear. Okay, so, because, I wasn't born in the 90s, So, but the point is, music evolves, content has evolved, your LinkedIn is evolving. And you've got to make sure that it evolves. Look at your content, you can go to your analytics, look at what you've been posting over the last 12 months and think to yourself, did I post that the 12 months before that or the 12 months before that? Are my audience thinking, man, I'm sick and tired of this guy. He just keeps posting the same content over and over again. And ultimately, we have to create content that resonates with our audience. What we want to do is get our audience, and particularly if we talk about, the LinkedIn track list, we want our audience to get up on stage with us. We want them to hold our hand and get on the dance floor with us, right? Just to confirm, this is also Photoshop, obviously. Mainly because I won't be seen dead in a blue shirt. Yeah, just kidding, John, just kidding. I got Oti to wear orange though, that's the main thing. But ultimately, it's about creating content that resonates with others. People should want to dance with you. They should want to listen to your track list and think, I'm going to like this person's content. I'm going to comment on this person's content. I'm going to send them a DM. I'm going to share their post. I'm going to send them a referral. Because ultimately, LinkedIn is about making us ungoogleable, right? We want people to think of us as opposed to somebody else. Obviously, we all know when you think, you know what, I need the UK's #1 LinkedIn trainer. Obviously, you're going to call me, right? That's how it works. Because obviously, my mum told you to. Now, ultimately, we always get people that say this, right? Does anybody get this? This is on Facebook. You know, when our content evolves and we talk about content and we have a multiple track list and we talk about lots of things, lots of different things. So we talk about our life and our testimonials and what we're doing and the lasagna we made last night and what our kids are up to and all that kind of stuff. And somebody somewhere will always say, this is on Facebook. Now, what I do is, when somebody says, this is on Facebook on my content, what I do is, I go and find them on Facebook. And then I send them a friend request. And when they accept, I systematically go through all their content. And as soon as I see something work-related, underneath I write, this is on LinkedIn. I don't waste my evenings. So, thanks. But ultimately, the whole point of this is, when you're creating content, you have to repel as much as you attract. Not everybody will love you, unfortunately, despite what my mum keeps telling me. Not everybody will love you. Ultimately, you want to create superfans. Your content has to create, your LinkedIn legacy track list has to create superfans. You have to get people on the hook, people involved, etc. Because otherwise, you're just posting content for the sake of it. Let's be honest, we're on LinkedIn because we want to make money. Sure, we want to build relationships, make friends, etc., etc. But ultimately, we want to make money. If you won the Euro Millions, 150 million pounds tomorrow, you're not going to think, oh, what am I going to post? Oh, what should I schedule? Other than, I want some money, see you later. You know, that's, so you've got to create superfans. Now, obviously, we're talking about we want you to be superstars, right? That's the whole point. Now, speaking of superstars, global megastars, the Spice Girls. What can the Spice Girls teach us about LinkedIn? I'm sure there's a post in there. We all get that nonsense, don't we? I know, right? Yeah. Did somebody just say Jesus Christ? Yeah. So, ultimately, the Spice Girls didn't just make albums. They were everywhere. They did concerts. They did radio interviews. They were on the cover of magazines. They had a fan club, allegedly. I don't know. They were on Top of the Pops. They were on MTV. They did tours. They even did a movie. Anybody see the Spice Girls movie? Yeah. Awesome. I really wanted to see it. I went to the cinema, and when it came out, and I went up to the counter, and the guy said, how can I help you today, sir? And I said, well, I'll tell you what I want. Well, really want. 2 tickets. Anyway, so the point is that the Spice Girls became global megastars. Like, you know, whatever you think of their music, it wasn't just their music. They didn't just write an album and say, here's an album, please listen to our album. They did everything. They went to tours around the world. Jerry wore that Union Jack dress. She pinched Prince Charles, at the time he was Prince Charles, pinched his backside and all that kind of stuff. And it was famous. They were famous all over the place. And it's because they were doing so much more than just one thing. So, obviously, when I talk about my content, I'm sure lots of other LinkedIn trainers, when you talk about your content, you're not just making money from LinkedIn. Am I making money from LinkedIn? Yes. Is it the only place I make money? No, I make money elsewhere. So I want you to think about how LinkedIn fits into your digital marketing strategy. I always say LinkedIn is the nucleus of your digital marketing strategy. But what else are you doing? What else are you creating? So ultimately, I talk about force fields. So we've talked about track lists, we've talked about superfans, and I was talking about force fields. And ultimately, you have to create a force field with what you do. So my force field is a 3-pronged approach. It's the triangle. This is my force field. When you connect with me on LinkedIn, I tell you to subscribe to my emails. When you subscribe to my emails, I'll tell you to join my Facebook group. When you join my Facebook group, I say you should connect with me on LinkedIn. You get caught in that force field. And when you do all 3, you can't escape. You can't get away from me. It's as simple as that. Because that's kind of the point, right? Because what we want to do is create superfans. We want people to get in the middle of that force field. Now I have a second tier, so first and second tier. My second tier is, if you really like me and you really want to get involved, you will follow me on Instagram and you'll read my Instagram stories. My Instagram stories are really unhinged. It's really behind the scenes. It's just like my general nonsense that I post every day. But if you're into me and you like me, that's what you're going to watch. You're going to watch my stories to see what's going on. Then you might follow me on YouTube and subscribe and watch my videos, etc. You think I want to consume more content. Or you'll come to my speaking gigs, or you might, listen to my podcasts, etc. The point is, I have a second tier where I create other content. It's my secondary force field. And then my third force field, which I'm creating soon, is a membership. And the idea, and obviously, whatever your third force field is, it's about creating those superfans and holding on to them. So we're creating brilliant content, and then we want to, essentially, the people that read that content, we want to convert them into customers. And we want to monetize them. And I know it sounds very crass to say, oh, well, I just want people to pay me. But ultimately, we want people to like us. We want people to know us, like us, and trust us. And when they trust us, they become superfans. They get involved. And it's the tier in the middle. So ultimately, what we want to create is force fields that brings people together. So I have my first tier, which is the three things that I do. They're the people that like me. The people that follow me, they're the people that know me. The people that join my membership are the people that trust me. And it doesn't have to be membership, it could be whatever you do. However you convert your customers, it doesn't, that's just something that I want to do. But for anybody else, it's about creating those super fans and holding on to them. One of the issues with social media is that it steals attention. Now we know, like when we talk about, for example, the LinkedIn video feed when it existed, or TikTok, or Instagram Reels, or whatever it is, it steals our attention. Our smartphones have everything on them. And we're there just reading. And how many times have we gone on Facebook and think, oh, I just need to contact somebody, 3 hours later, you're watching like cats playing pianos and stuff like that. It's really easily done, right? And the same happens on TikTok, it's even worse. The average watch time on TikTok is 95 minutes. And all the videos are like 10 seconds long. You know how many videos you have to watch in 95 minutes? And that's the average. There are people doing it more. That was ridiculous, an hour and a half watching TikTok. Anyway, the point is that social media steals our attention. What we want to do is get our audience to give us their attention. So is your content stealing people's attention, or are they giving it to you? Are they voluntarily saying, I like this person's content? I'm in this person's audience. Their content resonates with me. I want to make sure it resonates. I want to make sure that I see this content because it resonates with me. Okay. Now I always talk about having fun. So here's like a few examples of the kind of content that I create on LinkedIn. So I didn't want to just tell people that I've got now 5 poll options. And yes, I'm really cool. Well, just check me out. But I thought, well, I'll just ask people what their favorite Spice Girl is. Anybody else surprised that Posh was number 1? Yeah, right. Yeah. Not me. I love Posh. She's great. But anyway, they're all great, all 5 of them. But it's very easy. It would be easy for me to say, how many poll options have you got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's boring, right? So you ask people what the favorite Spice Girl is. I've got loads of like reactions, comments, and all the rest of it, etc. I love hooks, and I know, despite what Juma said earlier, just so you know, I'm a judge for a women's only awards ceremony. Just to be clear, it's not, so I enjoy judging women, of course, yeah, because they asked me to do it. The barista in Starbucks recognized me, so it's awesome, right? Yeah. Now, I'm not going to lie, this is total clickbait. I wrote that myself, but that's not the point. I carry a Sharpie just in case anybody wants a signature on the magazine that I was on the cover of. But people clicked more. People would click more because they want to get involved. And the thing is, obviously, some people found it funny. Some people kind of like, you're an idiot, mate. And whatever, it doesn't matter. Because it doesn't matter to me, because it's about having that confidence to create that content that people would read. I asked people on LinkedIn, are you watching Love Island? And obviously this guy said, no, because I'm not a brain-dead moron. I was like, well, everything is subjective, So, you got to have fun with the responses. Like, I don't know who this guy is, a second-degree connection. I don't know who he is, kind of thing. So it makes no difference. But even if he was a first or a third, it makes no difference to me, all right? And of course, a visual representation of LinkedIn experts liking their own post. And I love this because loads of people are like, well, what's it going to do with you? Or, oh, I can't believe this is, of course I like my own content because I'm posting it. Yeah, precisely. Why would you then click like? If you didn't like it, you wouldn't publish it in the first place. Not bad. Anyway, so we'll edit that bit out. So LinkedIn experts like in their own post. Now, speaking of endorsements for being incredibly funny, the LinkedIn CEO. See, you can't get higher than that, can you? The LinkedIn CEO, nailed it, yes! Because they're expanding in Ireland. You're doubling in size, yeah. Awesome. He loved it, said I nailed it. I then said, can I have a blue badge? He blocked me, so, oops. But anyway, and then of course, speaking of endorsements, people have endorsed me for being ridiculously hilarious. I know. Frustratingly though, I have more endorsements for being ridiculously hilarious than being a good LinkedIn trainer. So, man, that's frustrating. But you know, that's life, right? What can you do? So remember one thing. So one of the and I was talking to a couple of people in the breaks and stuff. It's about having confidence. It's about creating that track list, and you have that confidence to create multiple types of content. And the people that say this isn't Facebook, or the people that kind of say, oh, you know, this is how I talk, or I of course I like my own post, etc. Who cares? Who cares about those people? Because they're not the people that are your audience. Are your audience interested in your content? Does your content resonate with that audience? Because if it doesn't, then you're creating the wrong content. Then you need to move on. You need to either get a different audience or you need to create new content. And it's easier to create new content for that audience. Now, just remember, it's not a matter of life or death. But what you should do is be intentionally yourself. A lot of LinkedIn talks I do, I always talk about being intentionally yourself. It's very easy. All marketers will say, you should always be yourself. Everyone else is taken. Yeah, it's so trite. But it's the word intentionally. Whoever you are, tell us who you are. Okay, I mean, I won't now because I don't have time, but I can name loads of examples in this audience where you create content which talks to your audience over and above what you actually do for a living, okay? So ultimately, what I want to leave you with is the summary. What I want you to do is go and write your LinkedIn track lists. Obviously, if you write, for example, a track list of 12 posts for the next month, you can then take that track list and put it on the next month, and then the next month. And by the end of that, you've got 3 months worth of content. And then you lift that for the next 3 months. By the end of that 3 months, you've got 6 months worth of content. And then you lift that again. By this time next year, you'll have 12 months worth of content. You'll have 12 albums that you've created on LinkedIn that people are interested in. And this time next year, you can have a content marketing strategy that then tells you this is what people are interested in. And then when you create that content and people like that content and they resonate with that content, create your force fields. How are you holding on to these people? Because your LinkedIn followers on your community, they're not the people that are your super fans. They are just following you, and they follow lots of other people. Lots of people in this room have thousands and thousands of followers. You know, if everybody created content, you'd be on LinkedIn like all day, every day, 24 hours a day. So create your force fields. How are you capturing these people? How are you holding these people in your marketing strategy? And then ultimately create your super fans. Get them into your force field and make sure that you monetize them. Make sure that you use them. Make sure you have them. You hold on to them so that they are your super fans. So create your legacy. All that together, write your track list, create your force fields, capture your super fans. Ultimately helps you to build your legacy. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Gus Bhandal. Thank you for listening to my track today.